So we are eagerly awaiting the next court dates in the David case. Justice for Celeste is definitely coming, and I think next week we're going to find out some of the most crazy, messed up details that David has wanted to keep secret for quite some time. But in this video, in anticipation of that, I'm going to share with you guys some very interesting theories that are going around Reddit about what might have actually happened in the David case, how he might actually end up beating this, and a historical case involving another celebrity murder in LA back from 2001, which might give some clues as to how David might actually finesse his way out of these charges, if he's lucky, which hopefully he isn't, and we will see, because I think justice is coming. But this is one of the last little moves he's got left. So this post was going around. Obviously, this caught my eye because they used my font and my reporting from the courthouse where I explained that he would be trying to push for some bail. So this is a very, very interesting breakdown. It said, Hollywood murder bail precedent prediction meets Hollyweird, David Lynch. All right, and people are saying, what on earth does this even mean? But this is some backstory about another incident that happened involving Robert Blake and the murder of Bonnie Lee Bakley. So people say, hold on tight. This post covers the both reasonable, historically supported conjecture, followed by some very out there and fully weird speculations. If you find the former to be a stretch and reason for me to touch grass, then you probably want to skip to the latter part of this post, so as not to be fully triggered. Okay, this is my type of post, to be honest with you, because I as much as I'm focused on the facts, I do always like to explore some of the more, out there theories. And you never know, sometimes some of these theories do end up becoming true, or they at least give a little hint to some things that are going to happen. So this is part 1, the murder of Bonnie Lee Bakley and the trial of Robert Blake, historical precedent and predicted bail/house arrest of David in March of 2027. They're making some bold theories and predictions here. I'm not going to lie to you. They're jumping right out and they're saying exactly when things are going to happen. It says, looking at a famous Hollywood murder case from a quarter century ago and employing an arguably tenuous superimposition of that case's timeline on the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, we might reasonably, even if only thinly so, guesstimate the outline of a timeline for David's potential bail/house arrest and even the eventual verdict in his trial. So this post is going to predict that David will be granted bail and house arrest in March of 2027, and a verdict will be reached in his upcoming trial all the way in March of 2029. Here, they're saying it's going to be 3 years until we finally get to the bottom of this situation. So there's some very interesting backstory here, okay? And what I'm going to do is give you kind of a little bit of... I'm going to jump back and forth between what they're saying in this incident, in this post, and then some other research that I've done separately. So, historical comparison. Robert Blake, born in 1933 and lived to 2023, was a Hollywood star known for his early work as a child actor in The Little Rascals, starting in 1939, and for his subsequent long and successful career in television and film, playing among many other roles the real-life murderer Perry Smith in the 1967 adaptation of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, the TV cop Beretta in the 1970s, and finally the chilling role as the mystery man in David Lynch's 1997 Lost Highway. Okay, so he basically allegedly, on May the 4th, 2001, Robert Blake took his wife and the mother of his child, Bonnie Lee Bakley, out for a dinner in Studio City. Bakley was fatally shot in the head while sitting in Blake's car, parked around a corner from the restaurant. Blake said he had returned to the restaurant to go and get a pistol that he left there, and he hadn't witnessed the shooting. The gun Blake left in the restaurant was not the murder weapon, according to police. So here's like a little bit of background and breakdown.
Best known for his TV.
That situation from quite a long time ago. And it's funny because this is Nancy Grace, and she's digging deep into the David situation now. It's funny how history repeats itself.
Role in the 1970s gritty cop drama Beretta and portrayal of real-life killer Perry King in the critically acclaimed 1967 film In Cold Blood. Actor Robert Blake found himself back in the spotlight in 2001 when his wife of less than 1 year, Bonnie Lee Bakley, was murdered. Bonnie was shot in the head while parked on a quiet residential street near the Italian restaurant where the couple had just dined. Blake told authorities he went back to the restaurant to retrieve a gun he'd accidentally left inside, and when he returned, Bonnie was mortally wounded. In 2002, Blake was arrested and sensationally tried for murder and solicitation of murder. During the trial, Blake was accused of attempting to hire 2 Hollywood stuntmen to kill Bakley. Prosecutors argued that Blake hated Bonnie for tricking him into marriage. and wanted the mother of his infant daughter out of the picture.
It's pretty crazy, right? It's a crazy incident, crazy situation. And although she was an adult, it does bear some similarities in terms of allegedly the idea that, you know, they had a relationship that then the man wasn't happy with. You know, in Celeste's case, it was with a minor who was going to expose him. You know, the details aren't necessarily important. It's more the series of events and how the defense went down. So on April the 18th and 22nd, 2002, Blake was arrested and charged with Bakley's murder. Okay, 11 and a half months from Bonnie Lee Bakley's murder until his arrest. And it was 12 months from Celeste's murder, April 23rd, 2025, until David's arrest, April 16th, 2026. So what this article's, what this breakdown is essentially doing is giving just kind of like backstory and just saying, in a lot of ways, if you really look at it, it's actually very, very similar as far as the case. And yeah, interestingly enough, okay, in 2003, while behind bars, okay, Blake sat down for an interview with Barbara Walters, and he was asked how he felt about his wife's death. This is the moment that happened.
Robert, you've been in jail now for almost a year. How are you doing?
In this place, it's real simple. It's not how you're doing.
Yeah.
You're alive or you're dead. It's all the stuff in the middle doesn't really exist too much. You know, you wake up in the morning, you win. If you don't wake up, you win. Everything in the middle is doesn't really matter too much. You have to stop taking care of me. You look like you're visiting somebody in a hospital with tubes in his arms.
You look different to me now. You're thinner.
I'm a prisoner. I'm in a cement box in a jail.
When you came back to the car and found your wife shot to death, what did you think? What did you feel?
God, I wish I could answer you. God, I wish I could answer you.
He's looking a bit murdery to me, I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, now, miraculously, incredulously, insanely, on March 13th, 2003, Blake was granted bail. After that interview, they said, yeah, you know what? This guy, the way he pulled that look.
God, I wish I could answer.
That look that he pulled here. They said, this guy, let's let this guy back out onto the streets after murdering allegedly his wife. Insanity. So he was granted bail set at $1.5 million and placed under house arrest while awaiting trial. Let me make this bigger so you can read it. 11 months on from Blake's arrest until Blake's bail and house arrest, all right? By this measure, having already been in jail 3 months, David might now be 8 months away from bail in March of 2027. So, all right. On December the 20th, 2004, Blake's criminal trial for Bakley's murder begun. On March 16th, 2005, Blake was found not guilty of murder and not guilty of additional charges of solicitation of murder. Okay, insanity. So Nancy Grace reacted to Blake beating the charges whilst he was on bond at the time, and this was another very interesting situation.
Blake, but Beretta, a.k.a. Robert Blake, is a free man tonight. Did the jury decide Bonnie Lee Bakley deserved the death penalty? And what part did Blake's celebrity play in him beating the rap?
I was in shock. I was devastated. I just don't know how they came to that conclusion. Maybe it's just more obvious to me because of, you know, talking to my sister so much and for so long and hearing all the threats and, you know, he promised he was going to do it, and he did it, and he said he'd get away with it, and he did. I guess this is just the final time I can be hurt by him.
In a shocking turn of events, this California jury lets Blake go. After 9 days of deliberation, they vote not guilty on murder, they vote not guilty on solicitation of a crime, and deadlock 11-1 not guilty on a second solicitation. Just a shocking turn of events. The prosecutor who handled the case publicly stated that the jury was, quote, incredibly stupid. The jury claimed that they want more accurate eyewitness accounts that they weren't satisfied with the amount of gunshot residue on Blake. You know, I don't know what that jury wanted.
Everyone was not in agreement right away. So what we did was we had to go through all the facts. And yes, we did have our discussions. It was a complete discussion. Everyone put in their opinions. We all answered any questions. We dissected the evidence. We dissected the testimony, went through everything, and came back with the fair decision.
I felt Robert Blake was an innocent guy. I think the prosecution did the best job that they could do with what they had. They didn't really have a lot to go on. I mean, that's one reason why we had a circumstantial case.
I'm going to go out and do a little cowboying. You know what that is? No, you don't know what that is. Cowboying is when you get in a motorhome or a van or something like that, and you just let the air blow in your hair, and you wind up in some little bar in Arizona someplace, and you shoot one-handed 9-ball with some 90-year-old Portuguese woman that beats the hell out of you. And the next day you wind up in a park someplace playing chess with somebody, and you go see a high school play where they're doing West Side Story. I never lost hope. Sweetheart, if you live to be a million, you will never ever in your life meet anyone more blessed than me. When I was a young man, I used to think that I was smart and clever and that good things happened to me because I was just... None of that's true. I told Barbara Walters, God has been on my side since I was in the womb, and God has never left me. My whole life is a blessing. For all the times I should have been dead or not even born and all that, I'm...
Absolutely insane, all right? Absolutely insane. So it said, again, okay, he was found not guilty in that period of time. So again, by this rubric, we might suppose David's trial might come to a verdict in 2 years. That's March of 2029. Just for the historical record, we can assume Robert Blake did kill Bonnie Lee Blakely. That fact played out in subsequent civil cases that were decided against Blake as well, of course, in the court of public opinion at the time and since then. So I think I just saw there that he was ordered to pay $30 million to the family. And in 2012, he spoke about his relationship with his wife on Piers Morgan. And there, he called her a con artist.
Lucy, I was born in 1933 in Nutley, New Jersey. Now, what would you like to hear?
What your relationship was like with her before she died?
My relationship with her was not bad. I felt sorry for her sometimes because God never gave her that little piece of sunshine that he gave me. All the times I could have been dead and should have been dead and would have been dead, but God always said, no, here's the sidewalk, little boy. Go out there and dance and they'll throw money. She wanted to be, I don't know, a movie star. She was a talented woman. She was a lot of things. And we got married. Everybody said, well, why did you get married? Why not? Did you know? I had the most beautiful gift that anybody could ever have. I had a newborn child in my hand.
Did you love her, though?
No. I didn't know her well enough to know her. I love her. I love you as a human being. You're my brother in arms. We're all in this thing together. But we were not dramatically in love or things like that.
Once you got married and stuff about her past began to materialize, the stuff about being a scam artist.
I knew that before we got married.
Did you know everything about her?
Nobody ever knows everything. It's particularly a person like Bonnie. Nobody will ever know everything about Bonnie.
If you're being honest, though, Robert, was she duplicitous? Was she a liar? Was she a con artist?
I think she was a con artist, yes. I think she came to Hollywood to con her way into show business. I mean, she tried to hustle Christian Brando. She actually named my baby Christian Brando. And I changed the name. But when we found out that I was the father, and what better thing could I do for myself or my baby than marry her mother?
Insanity, to be honest with you, complete insanity. So he basically, he would still be facing some backlash afterwards, all right? And the lawyer who filed and won a $30 million civil judgment for Blake's wife and her family in 2005 also spoke on Piers Morgan right after, and he said he believes Blake is guilty and the motive was always the baby.
What went through your mind?
A lot. It was unexpected. I felt bad for him. I think the torment killing Bonnie has affected him greatly. He's a tortured man. I don't wish that pain on anybody.
You have absolutely no doubt that he killed Bonnie.
He did kill Bonnie. And
why are you so certain? Because he got off the criminal case.
Yeah, I mean, but for celebrity justice, he'd be in prison, and that really makes me question why he's so angry. He's very lucky not to be in prison. But in a nutshell, the motive was the baby. They had this baby together. Robert Blake kidnapped the baby. He agreed to marry her for her to drop the kidnapping charges she had filed. He tried to plant cocaine on her, tried to have her sent into prison, eventually contacted about 4 hitmen to kill her using a private calling card. And the night of the murder, he ran out of time. Bonnie wanted the baby back, and he had to kill her. I think in his mind, he feels justified in doing it.
I had his lawyer for a part of that period, Tom Mesereau, on, who was equally adamant that he was innocent, that he didn't kill her, that actually, Bonnie had this string of men, he was her 10th husband, that she'd been on the run, she was a con artist, all this kind of stuff which could easily lend itself to the theory, as he put to me on the show, Robert Blake, that it was one of these disgruntled people she had turned over in her past who read about her marrying a famous actor and came looking for her. How can you be so sure that theory isn't the true one?
Well, we can start factually. It's not accurate. He married her about 9 months before she moved to California. And when she moved to California, nobody knew. It wasn't reported anywhere. And she'd been about 3 or 4 days before he killed her. So nobody knew she was in California. Before that, she was in Arkansas, living in a house, raising her 3 kids. For the last 11 months, didn't move. So she was a sitting duck if anybody wanted her. I can assure everybody the LAPD put their top men in this case, their top people. It was the biggest investigation in LAPD history. They got the right guy, and celebrity justice is why he's free, and he should be lucky to be walking the streets right now.
So there's a little thing called celebrity justice, and unfortunately, David is a celebrity, okay? People in comment just, they're basically in agreement, all right? They know what's going on with that, okay? There were charges for kidnapping the baby. It's crazy. Some people say, listen, I ain't even going with that, right? I think she was a con artist. She hustled the wrong person. Somebody got even. Robert Blake is a little squirrely, but I doubt he killed her. This is insane, okay? This is crazy. So celebrity justice, they say. So let's dig into now the more kind of bizarre side of the theory. For those who appreciate weird takes, part 2. The film director David Lynch mixed in with D4VD is interesting. The disturbing intersection of Hollywood murders on the Lost Highway. The mystery man. The call is coming from inside the house. This is going to get very creative. So David Lynch's haunting 1997 surrealist neo-noir horror film Lost Highway is typically Lynchian. Typically a Lynchian merry-go-round splintering of time, space, and identity, but its initial storyline is easy enough to follow on the surface of things. A disturbed musician, Fred Madison, played by Bill Pullman, living in the Hollywood Hills, murders and dismembers his wife, though he disassociates from himself before, during, and after doing so. Sound familiar? A key component of the murderer's disassociation is a haunting and sinister old man in a white pancake makeup, billed as the Mystery Man, who is someone or something between a demonic chaperone to a funhouse, mirrored evil alternate reality, the rest of the movie, or simply a projection of the murderer's own true but masked self. The sinister, spectral Mystery Man is played by none other than Robert Blake. The most chilling and memorable scene of the Mystery Man, and arguably of the entire movie, is when Fred Madison encounters him at a party. The Mystery Man tells Fred that they've met before and adds that he's currently at Fred's house. He insists that Fred call his own home, and the Mystery Man answers on the other end of the phone. It's creepy as hell. All right, this is the clip. I won't play the clip because it'll get copyrighted. But it says, speaking of phones, remember David's spring 2025 Michael Cera phone lock screen image from his Complex interview where he said his phone was hacked and stolen in China, and he showed off that he had a ninja group chat. And also in the June live stream. So the washed out clown white looking Cera seemed like a non sequitur, some stupid David shit that made no sense. Maybe it was, or maybe it wasn't. Michael Cera had a cameo in the 2017 reboot of Lynch's Twin Peaks as Wally Brando. On the surface, a weirdly hilarious take on Marlon Brando's motorcycle riding, anguished outcast from the 1950s, The Wild Ones. However, there's another less obvious allusion on Cera's character, namely Pete Dayton, played by Balthazar Getty from Lost Highway, the alter-world alter ego of the murderous Fred Madison. You remember the disassociative musician that murdered and dismembered his wife in the Hollywood Hills home. There's all manner of other weird shit in Lost Highway. It's a must-see film, in my opinion. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Including other strange interactions, real or imagined, with many of the twisted and lurid aspects of David's self-delusion and murder of Celeste. Okay, there's some grass out there I really need to go and touch. So, is this from... this is from Remy as well, who is a controversial figure, to say the least, but I do think this is interesting. Okay, people saying, welcome back, Remy. I hope these predictions are speculations and this piece of S gets fried. They seem to have a lot more digital evidence as well, and forensics, so they say, but in Hollywood, anything is plausible. I just hope this little girl gets the justice she deserves. Remy says, thanks. I hope the predictions are wrong too. I did a little more digging on high-profile cases with bail, and there have been some big ones where the accused was ultimately acquitted, like OJ, Michael Jackson, etc. One noteworthy case of bail, despite solid forensic evidence and ultimately guilty plea, was Jared Fogle, the former Subway spokesperson arrested in 2015 for possession of illegal videos and engaging in sexual conduct with minors. Given the severity of the charges and Fogle's public persona, his bail was set at $1 million. He ultimately pled guilty and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. That said, even if David gets bail, March 2027 by prediction, it doesn't rule out the solid case against him and an eventual conviction, ruling out any weirdness at play in legal proceedings. People saying, highly doubt he's getting bond. The amount of special circumstances he's got charged against him, he's the definition of a flight risk too. If he gets bond, I'm not going to be too thrilled to see how the rest of the case goes. Kind of insane. I just watched this movie for the first time 3 days ago, and I see this, all right? People saying, oh, Remy, it's good to have you back, all right? Welcome back, Remy. If that's you, you've been missed. All right, Remy's back out here. You need to go outside for a while, all right? I just had to send him outside to get some fresh air for a little bit. But I thought that was an interesting theory. Now, some of it is a little bit outlandish and out there, but I do think that this whole celebrity justice thing is definitely a thing. It sounds like there's a lot more evidence in the David case. They got blood. We're in a much more meticulous age of forensic sciences in 2026. And, you know, you got Discord. You got messages, iMessages, the Uber sending her from her house to his house. But the timeline is super interesting. It's super, super interesting, especially the gap between, you know, the crime and the arrest and all that kind of thing. So I do wonder what's going to happen. I just thought this is a really interesting theory. I wanted to break it down and just give you guys my thoughts on this. I do have another David video that I want to do. I think there might be an update with his supposed album that was releasing next week and or this week. And I'm going to tell you a little something about that in a separate video. But hold tight for that. I'll let you guys know when I've got an update. I've got a few other things I want to update you guys on separately to this. And just for the record, this is just separate. Everybody that wants me to cover the Nolan Wells situation, I've seen the picture. If you follow the channel closely, I'll do this at the end of the video so not many people see it. If you follow this channel closely, you might know I did another follow-up video on the Nolan Wells situation. And I took it down like an hour after posting it because I could see that nobody had watched the video. I was getting hysterical people in the replies calling me all sorts of things. And I guess sometimes, like, I don't know, the truth hurts. I'm as interested in the conspiracy theories as anyone. But when we start finding out that certain things are just straight not true, it's really disappointing for my audience, who I think very highly of and I think is very smart, to disrespect me and basically, you know, call me out for just pointing out the facts. So I haven't made a video about this Nolan Wells pool party image. I've seen people saying that the image is old. It was taken before the 4th of July and it has nothing to do with the case. And I think there's some very messed up things going on behind the scenes. I am not somebody who just makes videos for the money, for the sake of it, just for the views, because it's viral right now. Everybody's saying, oh, I ain't doing a video about that. I personally don't believe it. And I don't think I've seen enough. I've seen more stuff credibly saying that it's not actually true, that he left the island, went to a pool party, and then his body was dumped after a pool party. I'm not believing that so far, and I'm not going to make a video about it because I really value my integrity. No disrespect to anyone else doing content about that. I'm definitely still interested and following with interest, but I don't use my platform to, you know, put things out there that I just know aren't in good faith. if I put something out there and it turns out to be wrong, like I'll correct myself and let everybody know in good faith that I made a mistake and set the record straight. So I just want to make it clear. Everyone's saying, why aren't you doing a video about that? Because I'm not convinced. So if I hear anything else, I'll let you guys know. I am actually apprehensive of even just being honest about this case because people just seem to get completely hysterical and just fly off the handle and accuse me of things that aren't true. So I'm going to leave that alone for a bit, unless I see something that really is substantial that makes a lot of sense. But for now, I'm not gonna performatively do a story on something that I don't actually believe is true for the views or for the money. It's not what I'm going to do. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. I hope you found this interesting. Obviously, you know, this video that we've just done, it's speculative. I don't think for sure that David's going to get bail in a year, but I'm being honest with you guys about that. And I guess there's certain topics where being honest kind of just shoots me in the foot. So I'm just going to not talk about certain things. So catch you guys in the next video. Hope you found that useful and interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with this case, but I will be covering it and I'll be telling you all of the news as soon as I do. And I will stick with the facts at all times and let you know what's going on as soon as I know. Okay. And I do plan to update you guys on this David album and some of the weird stuff that's been going on behind the scenes since. Because now they're saying, oh, it was a hoax. But I'm thinking, it didn't look like a hoax. Looked like maybe somebody backtracked. But I will talk to you guys about that in another video. Appreciate you watching this one. I'm out for now, gang. Peace.